are essential to making Toastmasters successful. And that is why we have to learn to embrace the role of evaluator. Now, what I have discovered over the years is that each evaluator has their own style and different things that they look for. And so as you speak more and you get different evaluators, you're going to learn something from each of them. For instance, I am not one who will give a lot of technical advice in my evaluations. For example, I will not point out filler words unless they're stunting your speech or they're distracting to the audience. Because personally, I feel an occasional or so is not going to make you lose credibility, and I don't want you to get too hung up on that, especially in the beginning. I also, as an evaluator, do not typically summarize your speech. I feel you know what your speech was, and what you really need from me is how the audience received it. So what I want to provide to you today is 3 questions that I will typically ask myself as an evaluator in hopes that this will help you when you give speech evaluations. So the first thing that I will typically ask is, how did this speaker make me feel? Did I feel inspired or motivated? Did I learn something new? Did I feel connected to the speaker? The second thing I ask is, what did this speaker leave out that could have added a lot of value? One mistake that I feel a lot of public speakers make is that they include details that are irrelevant or don't add a lot to the speech. And when you do this, you run into the danger of perhaps not providing information the speaker would have loved to have heard. And I want to give you an example of this. I once evaluated a speech of someone who had just returned from vacation with her family. And her speech went something like this. We rented a condo on the beach. The number of the condo was 423. The condo had tile floors, wicker furniture, and a balcony. Now, as an audience member, I would have loved to have heard something more along the lines of, we rented the most beautiful, spacious condo. We had dance parties with our family, and that balcony. Oh my goodness. Every morning I got to watch the sunrise while I drank my coffee and chatted with my husband, and I felt reborn on that balcony. That's the kind of thing that I like to hear as an audience member versus the condo number. The third and final question that I typically ask, and this is the most important thing I do when I give speech evaluations. What can this speaker capitalize on? I knew a former teacher who moved into the corporate world, and I really enjoyed her technical trainings because she was able to teach new concepts in a way that helped me to learn difficult topics. She was excellent at helping people to understand these things. There are some speakers who are just naturally funny, some who are more inspiring. There are some speakers who are great speech writers. And so why I like to tell people what they capitalize on is because when you tell a speaker what you think makes them stand out from the crowd, they're going to be able to capitalize on this for future speeches. And this is going to allow them to be less nervous and to win the audience over despite other imperfections. Because if you come in there with that confidence and enthusiasm, knowing that you do a certain thing well, it's really going to help you gain that credibility and connect with your audience. So when I first started giving evaluations, I was provided with some very useful information from one of my all-time favorite speech evaluators and Toastmasters. His name is Andrew Koukaitis, and some of you may know him. He's in several clubs in the area. And Andrew pointed out that I just needed to provide a simple outline. And I want to share that with you today so that when you give your first speech, just go by this simple outline and it's going to make it a lot less nerve-wracking. First, tell the speaker something you liked about the speech. You may have liked the story they told, the topic, or their energy, whatever it is. Give them a couple of things that you liked. Then tell them something to work on to improve their public speaking skills. Breathing, pacing, body language, eye contact. These are all important skills to learn, especially in the beginning. I will give you some advice. Don't give them all those things in one speech evaluation. Give them one or two things that they can master, because this can be an overwhelming process to learn to be an effective public speaker. So you don't want them to feel like they're on a firing line when you're giving your evaluation. And the third thing in the outline is to throw in one more thing that you think makes them stand apart with their speech. A great example of this for me is when someone has the courage to be vulnerable, I really notice that, and I'll usually point it out. I also will point it out if they have passion that is just contagious for the audience. So something like that, that's a little bit different for them to be able to capitalize on. And then finally, just provide them a summary. 2 or 3 things that you liked, 1 or 2 things that they should work on, and then finally throw in something a little bit special that you liked about the speech, or personal, make it personal. Please keep in mind when you are giving speech evaluations, most people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. You want to balance out showing respect and grace with helpful feedback that will allow them to enjoy the continuous improvement process that comes with Toastmasters. And remember how cool it is to play a part in helping another person use their voice. And if you ever need any helps or tips as you start your Toastmasters journey, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you, LeAnn. Very good advice, and I love how, not to take away from Susan's evaluation, but I like how you were standing throughout your speech. That was a nice touch. Please take a moment. There's a chat feature. If you are able to, send a private note to LeAnn. Let her know some things that you thought she did well, some things she can capitalize on in the future. Basically follow the instructions that you were just given, but just a few notes so that she can get your feedback, and then we will get the formal evaluation at the end of the program from Susan. And I see we have another person, April, I think it is. April. Hi, April.
Hi.
Welcome to our meeting. We're talking about mentorship and evaluations and how to encourage our newer members to be successful Toastmasters. So thank you for joining us. As we wrap up, we're going to, okay, perfect. Just 1 more minute, and then I will introduce our next speaker. Okay, I have 12:24. Our next speaker is also our president, and she is also our Area 90 director, which means she covers about 4 or 5 Toastmaster groups in the area. Debbie Kerr-Henry is going to talk to us about mentorship, the importance of it, how to set goals for your Pathways journey, and how to meet those goals and even exceed those goals. And she's also going to we'll move into our table topics section of our meeting at the same time. So for those of you who are new, this is when the speaker asks a question and you have to respond. This is for the extemporaneous learning. This is what you could get asked at a job interview, or somebody asks you in the elevator, what are you doing, where are you going, what floor are you going to, and just about a minute is your goal. So try to talk for 60 seconds, and if you have to pull something in that doesn't even answer the question, just keep talking until you see that green screen from Gail come behind her. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Debbie Kerr-Henry.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Before I begin, I want to share a tip with all of you that I learned at another club, since today is kind of a mentorship meeting. If you'll all go to your screen and see the 3 little dots and click on that. For those of you who are serving as a functionary today, if you can go down to the rename drop down and just type in your whatever function you're serving in the meeting today. It's just helpful to everybody knowing who is doing what in the meeting. So that's something that another club does, and I thought it was really helpful. So if we can start doing that in our club, I think that would be awesome. So today I am talking about goals, roles, and why enroll in pathways. I'm going to begin with goals and go through each one of these. When I think about goals and Toastmasters, I think of a 3-tiered process. I first think of my big goal of why is it that I'm even in Toastmasters? What do I want to accomplish? Why did I join Toastmasters? That's my first goal. And then my second goal is what pathways path will help me achieve my overarching goal? If you remember, Pathways is that educational program that Toastmasters uses to help each one of us accomplish the things that we're trying to do as speakers and as leaders. So in that educational program, there are several different paths that you can choose. And you choose that path based on what your goals are for your career or for your personal life or for whatever reason you have joined Toastmasters. So you have your overall goal of why you joined Toastmasters. You use pathways and the goals within pathways to achieve that overarching goal. And then I also think about a third goal, and that goal is every time I come to a meeting, I think about what is my goal in this particular meeting? What is it that I want to learn? What is it that I want to contribute? For example, last week, Susan was our evaluator. I think you were the general evaluator, Susan, yes. And I remember her going through all of the ums and ahs. Maybe you were the all counter. I can't even remember. I had a crazy week. I had a wedding this week. I do remember this. I had so many filler words last week. And I remember thinking this week, what I would like to do is to be able to come to this meeting and just take a breath and to be able to present this training session without all of the fillers and the ums and the ahs. Last week, as many of you know, the guests don't know this, but I had company coming into town. My son was getting married this past weekend. My house is being renovated. It's like one of those storms, you know, those crazy storms that was brewing that all came at the same time. And I have learned, being a Toastmaster, that if I have time to prepare and really think through things, I can typically deliver a pretty good speech. But I am also learning that when I have a lot of craziness going on in my life, I don't have as much time to prepare. My thoughts are kind of going all over the place, and I start using a lot of filler words. So that is my goal today, based on what Susan, the feedback that she gave me last week, is I would just like to learn in the middle of life's craziness to still be able to deliver a speech without using all these filler words. So 3 things for goals. Why did I join Toastmasters? What is my overarching goal? What is my goal within Pathways? What path am I going to use to achieve my Toastmasters goal? And then every time I come to a meeting, what are my meeting goals? If I'm going to spend an hour each week in Toastmasters, what do I want to gain from it and how do I want to contribute? The second thing I want to talk about today is roles. There are 8 different roles in our Toastmasters meetings. The first 3 are called functionaries. We have the ah counter, the grammarian / word master, and the timer. Now, all 3 of these functionary roles help us go through our meeting in a successful manner. Evelyn sent all of you a link this week, sent all of our new members at least a link this week that outlines each one of these roles, and it also provides valuable resources for you to print out and have available at each one of the meetings. They have scripts and they have logs. So the scripts tell you exactly what to say when the Toastmaster says, how will you be serving us today in your functionary, as your functionary? There's a script that tells you what to say. And then there is a log that helps you actually just write everybody's names down and keep track of everything. So it makes it very easy for you. So the first three, All Counter, Grammarian / Wordmaster, and Timer, have scripts and logs to help you. The fourth role is the General Evaluator role. Now with the General Evaluator, there's also a resource available. If you go to that link that Evelyn sent you, it provides a checklist. And on that checklist, it tells you exactly what to be looking for in the meetings to help evaluate how we did during that meeting. There are two parts to the Toastmasters meeting. The first part has to do with speaking, and the second part has to do with evaluating. So the General Evaluator takes over the meeting midway through and helps us through the evaluation portion of the meeting. The fifth functionary, and by the way, I will send all of you my notes so you can see the outline for this. Number 5, the evaluator is also a role. So you're going to hear Susan actually give an evaluation of LeAnn later in this meeting. That is a role as well. And with the evaluator role, there is a resource on the Toastmasters International website that helps you evaluate the speaker. So today, LeAnn would have sent Susan her evaluation sheet, and then Susan would have known what LeAnn's objectives were for her speech and what she needed to be looking for to help give feedback to LeAnn. The next role is the Table Topics Master. The Table Topics Master also has a script and a log available on the TI website. Again, it tells you exactly what to say, and it provides a log to help you keep track of who spoke answered the questions. And then it provides a place for you to actually list the names of those people and then just give a quick summary of what they said. So then at the end of your Table Topics time, you can summarize who spoke and what each one of them said. So then when we vote on who we think is the best Table Topics speaker for the day, you've given us a summary as a reminder of who spoke and what they said. The seventh role is the Toastmaster role. This is the most difficult role probably. It's the role that Evelyn is serving today. There's a lot of things that happen with this role. You're not only leading the meeting, but you're also doing a lot of prep work leading up to the meeting, making sure that you have all of the roles filled, you have your speakers, you have your evaluators lined up, and you need to make sure that those speakers have sent their information to their evaluators. You need to make sure the speakers have sent their introductions to you as the Toastmaster. So there's a lot of things that happen with that Toastmaster's role. For our new members, you will not be serving in a Toastmaster role until you've had time to serve in other roles and until you've done your icebreaker speech. So we're not going to throw you in there into that role until you feel like you are ready to do that. And then our last role, of course, is the speaker role. And as I've already said, the speaker needs to be responsible for sending their intro to the Toastmaster and the evaluation sheet to the evaluator. I'm going to throw in a couple questions at this time since I'm combining this training session with Table Topics, and I just want to ask a few questions at this part in this training. So everybody take a deep breath And I'm just wondering, let me think. Darlene, it's good to see you. I wasn't sure you were going to make it today. It's good to see you. Let's see. Martha, I'm going to ask you this question. After you heard LeAnn give her evaluation speech, based on what she taught us today, which by the way, LeAnn, you did an excellent job. Based on what she said today, are there some things that you could say to LeAnn as an evaluator, like something that you liked about her speech, maybe something that she could have done better? Just provide a quick evaluation of LeAnn's speech for us in 1 to 2 minutes.
Hi, good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and Madame. I really love what she said, and she stood up. So it kind of captivated me to really listen to what she was saying. She took her time. It was leveled. She made sure the points that she wanted for us to understand really came through, and it came clear. So I wrote down some notes that I was learning, and I really liked that she offered her assistance when we now have to do those same speeches, or here we go with the O's and ums. But yes, to really be able to lead into what we want to say, and don't let whatever's going on around us take over our mind, and we're not sounding clear, we're sounding muddled. So thank you so much for that. And I'm pretty sure I will be calling you.
Okay, thank you, Martha. That was awesome. Just putting you on the spot. You pulled that off very well. Great job. I want to ask one more question at this point too. When I was talking about goals earlier, in fact, I would like to ask a couple of you new members. Dolores, I'm going to start with you. I would like to know what your goal is in Toastmasters. Why did you join? What are you trying to gain from Toastmasters?
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I had to play with my mute and unmute, so I'm still learning some of the technical points. Even though I work as a telephone operator, I find that when I am speaking one-to-one outside of my work, sometimes in my work, just having casual conversations, I don't feel confident in what I'm about to say or how it's worded. I tend to be shy away, and I would like to feel more confident in speaking to other people. I'm fine on the phone, I can do that, but when it's face to face, that's when I get a little bit shy. So that's my main goal, get more confidence.
Okay, thank you, Dolores. And I know that's really hard for so many of us. I'm always working on that. So thank you for sharing that. And I do believe that you will improve in that area, joining Toastmasters. I want to ask the same question. I'm going to ask Ricardo, are you with us? Would love to hear from you.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I would love to ask you the same question. Why did you join Toastmasters? What are you trying to gain out of Toastmasters?
For me, it's more of an expansion to my vocabulary, to be able to learn how to speak and broaden my vocabulary skills. I don't mind speaking in public in front of people, but where I struggle sometimes is finding words that I can use to be able to say the message that I'm trying to convey, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Ricardo. And I will have to circle back around with you and talk to you about that, because I have a similar struggle, and it's ironic for me because I'm a writer. But vocabulary is a hard one for me too. And the grammarian word master role is a great way to learn new words every week. I've actually learned a couple really good words just recently from LaToya, and I use those words all the time now because I love them. So great place to be. I'm going to ask the same question one more time, and then I'm going to move on to the last part of my training session. Darlene, since you were able to join us today, I would love to hear from you. What's your goals for Toastmasters?
Hello, everybody. Glad I could make it, and please excuse my tardiness. I definitely wanted to be a part of the conversation in the club today. Part of my goals really include gaining confidence when I'm speaking, learning how to cut out the ums and the ands, and the shaking. There was a time where I was doing a presentation, Ricardo and Martha were there, and they could hear it in my voice, and my hand was holding the mic shaking, and it was so embarrassing. So in my position, I'm gonna have to be doing more public speaking, and I do have a little bit of a leadership role, so I would like to improve in those areas.
Okay, thank you, Darlene. You know, I think all of you are in the right place. We all look forward to just mentoring you and moving you along, and hearing from you too to help us improve too. The last thing that I want to talk about is the Pathways program. And as I mentioned earlier, it's the framework actually for Toastmasters. So anytime that we have gone through school or certification or anything like that, it doesn't matter at what level, there are these requirements, right? And the requirements are based on the mission and the purpose of that certification or school, whether it be elementary school, middle school, high school, college, whatever. There are different things that we're trying to achieve. So in order to do that, Toastmasters has developed a program to help us go through different levels of programs so that we can learn how to speak better and lead better. So again, Evelyn sent all of you new members a link, and we're going to send it to all of our more experienced members as well, because all of us are learning Pathways together. It's a fairly new program. They used to have a different program, and we've gone to this new program called Pathways. And so we all need to get better at this. But there's just a few things I want to tell you about it today, and then we're going to have a whole training session on Pathways, hopefully in 2 to 3 weeks. But if you sign into the TI website, Toastmasters International website, there is a Pathways link that you can click on. And if you click on the Navigator link, and that's the same one that Evelyn sent you, if you just click on Navigator, there are several things that you can explore within the Navigator. First one is, what is Pathways? It'll tell you all about Pathways. The second thing is, how will I work in Pathways? And which paths can I choose from, and how do they work? And the last thing is, how do I get started? So you really need to just take some time to really explore Pathways. And I want to throw this out to all of you as a goal, to actually do that and to sign into Pathways. Choose a path. If you can this week, actually choose your path, which one you want to work through. And we assigned all of you mentors this past week. So all of the mentors, if you have not reached out to your mentees this past week, this week you need to be doing that, helping them with the Pathways thing, answering questions about roles and their goals and anything else that's going on. So by the time we meet next week, hopefully we'll have some of these things ironed out. The last thing I want to do, I just have a couple minutes here, and then we need to move on. I just want to open it up for just a couple minutes. Do any of you have any questions that you would like to throw out right now? And we may or may not have time to answer them, but if you have questions, why don't we do this? If you have any questions, if you can send them to me in the chat, then I'll just make sure that we are getting answers to all of you at this point. It's really hard when we're on Zoom, just really staying in touch with all of you and really understanding where everybody's at, because we can't have these personal conversations with each one of you. So if you will just take a minute and send any questions to me in the chat feature, I'm going to hand it back over to Evelyn, our Toastmaster.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Wonderful job. We will not be evaluating Debbie formally today, but we will at this time ask our first evaluator, who's going to give some feedback for LeAnn, to take the floor. And I would like to welcome Susan Garrison.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Evelyn. Well, I was a little worried because I thought that Debbie was going to go around and ask everyone to evaluate LeAnn, and I would have nothing left to say. I was very impressed by the one evaluation that was provided, and it lifts me up because I realize that those of us that join Toastmasters really want to know how to do these things. And especially LeAnn helped us today. I thought your opening was extremely engaging. You used the 1, 2, 3 methods of organization twice in your speech, but that beginning where you invited us in, and then you also gave that wonderful example of a database delivery versus a feeling and excitement delivery of the description of the beach house. The great example to show how to do and how not to do, engaging an audience in a speech. I thought that the second thing that you brought to this discussion about evaluation was the emphasis on the positivity and making it specific but not overwhelming. Your ability to winnow down the big world of evaluation, albeit with the help of Andrew, who is a master, it was extremely helpful, and it will help us not only evaluate others, but our own speeches as we try to grow as speakers. And believe me, you can continue to grow as a speaker every time you open your mouth to say anything. I often thought when you said that part about paying attention and reinforcing what a speaker is doing well, of a quote that I often used to use: you get what you pay attention to. And so if you pay attention to good speaking and good speaker studies and the way speakers speak whom you enjoy, then you learn something. I was overwhelmingly impressed by the standing that you did while you spoke, how you had that camera just right. You were there, you were body, see, we saw your body. Now let's enhance that. Let's move around, use that stage that you have so cleverly welcomed back. For improvement, you might want to reduce some of the visual clutter on the wall behind you. While it's enticing to figure out what you're messaging there, it's also a little bit distracting. So I hope that I have followed the guidance of Andrew and your wonderful speech and told you what I liked, suggested a technical skill to work on, and told you some way that you stand above others. And thank you so very much for the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you, Susan. That was a very, very thoughtful evaluation. You hit all the highlights. With that, I'm going to spearhead into the next section of the meeting. See, I did it. Yay! I said I have to work that word in there somewhere. And I'm going to call on our functionaries. And first up, I'm going to call on Ashley, who is going to give us a report of the Accountant, Grammarian, and Wordmaster. Ashley?
Can I interrupt just a second? I'm so very sorry. I forgot to ask for a vote for table topics. So while we're doing functionaries, can we send a vote to me? Can I do a quick summary? Ashley, I'm sorry to interrupt. So we had 4 people. We're just going to use these as our table topics today. We had Martha give LeAnn a short evaluation. we had Dolores, Ricardo, and Darlene all talk about why they joined Toastmasters and their goals. Dolores talked about wanting to learn how to speak more one-on-one and face-to-face because she speaks all day on the phone. Ricardo, who talked about wanting to expand his vocabulary. And Darlene, who wants to just learn how to be able to speak more calmly and get rid of all the nervousness when she's speaking. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. And with that, Ashley, take it away.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My report for the counter, you guys were superstars. The only thing that I caught all day, LeAnn, you did a very good job with your speech. And by the way, I'm going over this very quickly in the interest of time today. I did not catch anything, LeAnn. Debbie, I had to listen very, very closely, and I just caught one double clutch with it's like, it's like. Table topics. I was not paying attention for the purposes of counting your filler words. I was listening to what you all had to say, Martha, Ricardo, Dolores, and Darlene. However, I do not recall hearing any filler words. I think you all did a great job being put on the spot and asking questions. Excellent, excellent job. And Susan Garrison, as an evaluator for LeAnn's speech, you did an incredible job too. The two interesting uses of language I'd want to point out is I loved that LeAnn chose to use that Toastmasters helps us learn how to use our voice, not just giving a speech. And that is exactly what we're doing, is learning how to use our voice in all ways. Debbie, I really like you re-emphasizing the overarching goal. I liked that word. I wrote it down. It is a reminder weekly with the roles or my speeches that I do that. And finally, I want to share something I heard this week. I read in a blog that we put so much pressure on ourselves when we use the phrase, practice makes perfect. And if we could have a shift that practice does not make perfect, practice makes improved. And that's what we're trying to do here, is improve ourselves, certainly for the purposes of the evaluations, but it's okay to bring in our personal goals as well for our own growth in Toastmasters. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Good point. Good point. And now for our timer report, I'd like to welcome Gail Hill-Smith.
Madam Toastmaster, thank you so much. In our prepared speech, LeAnn Shaw asked for 6 to 8 minutes, spoke 8 minutes, 24 seconds, would qualify in a contest. Debbie, I know you didn't have a time request, but I did go ahead, just out of courtesy and for your information, and timed what I'm going to call part 1 and part 2. Part 1 was 10 minutes and 12 seconds. Part 2, your summary, was 3 minutes, 30 seconds for a total of 13 minutes, 42 seconds. In a speech contest, you would have not qualified. And I'm only saying that because I have something to add to that in a moment. Table topics. Martha, required time is 1 to 2 minutes. And to speak for 2.5 minutes, you would qualify. So your total time was 1 minute, 5 seconds. You do qualify. Dolores, Martha, you were 53 seconds. Dolores was 1 minute, 5 seconds. Ricardo was a short 30 seconds. So we are going to help you expand that vocabulary, sir. Try to reach a minimum of 1 minute. And Darlene, you two were at 42 seconds.
And I did not detect any shaking while you were talking, so good going. In our evaluations, required 2 to 3 minutes. Susan spoke for 3 minutes, 4 seconds, does qualify. Now I mentioned, just since we're in a coaching role themed meeting, for the benefit of our new members as well as our guests, why it's so important for timing. Couple of things. If you're in a professional field and you have to present before your peers, you know you need to keep within a time frame. Otherwise, you're going to have people banging their head on that table to finish up. In Toastmasters, we have contests, and contest season has just started. It's imperative that we speak within the required time, or we will be automatically disqualified as a contestant, even by 1 mere second. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Gail, and more on contests later. In the next few weeks, we'll talk about that. One thing, as general evaluator of this meeting, I neglected to do when we kicked off the meeting was to recite our mission statement. And and we won't have to recite it together, but I just want to share it. And that is, we provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And that is something we try to recite at the beginning of this meeting, but I apologize for neglecting to do so. With that, I would like to, great meeting, wonderful, great job everyone. LeAnn, excellent speech, very clear and succinct. And I would like to introduce our president, Debbie Kerr-Henry, to wrap it up. Debbie?
Thank you, Evelyn. At this time, I would like to get some quick feedback from our guests. And Ashley, you've probably already done this, chatted with them privately to get their contact information. But I'm looking at my screen here. April, do you have any comments for us today that you would like to share about the meeting?
Sorry, Debbie, I was turning on my mic there. No, just very informational, very well ran. I like the insight. I'm new to Toastmasters, so I've heard a lot about Toastmasters. As you guys are sharing some of your goals and thoughts, it was very eye-opening as well. So thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, thanks, April. It's good to have you. Christina, how about you? Do you have any thoughts about the meeting?
It was good to see. Sometimes people only have one speaker, so it's always nice for people to see more than one presenter. And tabletops is always a great opportunity for people to answer questions. And I like that people gave feedback of why they're in the club. I think that's always good for the club to kind of know what everyone's goals are, so that you kind of can cater and make sure their needs are being met in the club. I thought overall the meeting went really, really well, and I was glad to be able to join you today.
Thanks, Christina. Thank you for that feedback. And typically we do have 2 speakers and we have table topics separate from the speaking, but Gail, I wasn't going for a speech, 5 to 7 minute speech. Anyway, it was just a training session today, so I hope that was helpful. Gail, do you have any final comments? For those of you, I don't know if in case you missed this, but Gail is in Toastmasters, we have our clubs, and we have an area, and then we have division and district, and Gail is our division director. So it's an honor to have you with us today and supporting our club. Thank you for joining us.
Debbie, it's absolutely my honor to be here, trying to squeeze into all these meetings. And I have to commend Toastmasters at 12. You all had an absolute fabulous meeting, well organized, on time. And as your Division I director, you have inspired me to consider having our district, or excuse me, our division host a group orientation, because we have so many new members that don't have necessarily the insight of the orientation and the value of an orientation. So thank you for that concept and that insight, and look for that. I hope we can bring that to fruition. Thank
Okay.
you, Jenny.
Yeah, sounds good. We can talk about that. I want to say very quickly, I know it's 1 o'clock and Evelyn needs to get the agenda, and I want to encourage all of you new members to sign up for a functionary for next week. We will help you with that. You have mentors. We will be contacting all of you this week. So don't be afraid to sign up. We want you to sign up for next week. I do want to tell you very quickly, because I've had lots of you ask me, the wedding was absolutely beautiful. It was rain, like 90% chance on Sunday, and it just cleared. We had this beautiful outdoor wedding. I can't say enough about it. I can't wait to show everybody pictures. So Evelyn, if you can wrap us up with the agenda, that would be great.
Okay. Oh, before we do that, do we have a table topics winner?
Oh gosh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, our winner today is Martha. Awesome job, Martha. We really put you on the spot and you did a great job.
Okay, well, as Debbie said, we need some of our new members to step up, but first we need a Toastmaster. Are there any seasoned members who will be attending next week and who would like to volunteer to be Toastmaster? And that means you can pick the theme. Next week's date is October 20th. Any takers?
I haven't ever done that role. I haven't fulfilled that role, so I'm willing to do it next week.
Okay, Ashley, and I'll be in touch with you.
And
so take the 2 minutes and think of a theme.
I have a theme, and people can go in different directions. Let's make the theme pumpkins.
Okay. Sounds appropriate.
That will be fun.
It'll be fun. Pledge and inspiration. Basically, you take 1 to 2 minutes. We do the flag, and then you can. Susan, is that a yes on you? Okay, I see Susan Garrison. Thank you. Grammarian Word Master. This is where you listen for awkward language, where you pick a word of the day, and then you track how many people use it. Would any of you like to try that? Monica, maybe?
I have to be sure what exactly I have to count, just that.
I will help you with that. I'll be Martha and Monica, I'm mentoring you, so I will help you with your function next week. So sign up for something.
I'm good with that then.
Okay, Monica, you're grammarian word master, and then Martha, would you like to be the counter? Okay, I love it. Martha. And then we need a timer. Gladys was going to be the timer today, and I was going to help her, so I'm putting her as timer for next week, and I'll make sure she attends. We need 2 speakers. Do we have any volunteers for speakers? I know, Latoya, you're next the following week, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will reach out. I'll see if some of our members who are not attending would like to. I'll line up 2 speakers. I will use my persuasive skills to do so.
Maybe
tabletop.
Yeah, maybe Serena and Charles. Charles is starting a new pathway, so maybe both of them.
I'll reach out to them.
I'll do tabletop.
You'll do table topics, Latoya. Nice. Okay. And we need a general evaluator and 2 evaluators. Would anyone like to take? It's kind of a big role for a new person. I would probably wait for that.
I can be an evaluator.
Debbie is 1, and I can be another. It's fine. So we just need a general evaluator, but that Ashley, maybe you just roll into that after your Toastmaster duties.
Happy to.
Excellent. So my job is to get 2 speakers, and I will call the meeting to an end. Does anybody have any questions? No? I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us. Reach out to your mentor, reach out to your mentee, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Blessings.
Have a
Bye.
great week.
See everyone.